All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Adapting to the New Business as Usual. My name is James Lim, and I'm a Business Development and Sales Coordinator at Brew Accounting. I'll be your moderator for today. Now, I'd like to introduce to you our today's presenter. Joanna Stewart is the Director of Brew Accounting. Joanna has a passion for supporting small business to achieve mind freedom, time freedom, and financial freedom. She has worked across the globe leading large and small finance functions to deliver strategic business goals. She founded Brew Accounting 10 years ago and has gathered an excellent team of professionals together to support you and your small business to grow and prosper. Now, without further ado, let's all welcome Joanna Stewart. Take it away.
Thanks, James. Thanks, everyone, for taking the time to listen in to this important webinar. I know that these are very challenging times to be in business, and your time is very precious. We are all working on important business projects to ensure we can continue to support our valuable clients and keep our employees in employment. The thought for today is from Charles Darwin. It's not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most adaptable to change. A great example of this is in Barbados, which is in the Caribbean, completely reliant on tourism and facing economic devastation. They have created a 12-month Barbados welcome stamp. Being from the Caribbean, I'm fascinated by this innovative idea. They are promoting, if you can work remotely, why stay where you are? Visitors can come and work remotely from the island for 12 months. I would be lying if I said I'm not tempted to go myself. As per the agenda, we have lots to cover, and I want to leave time at the end for questions and answers. I encourage you to take notes and submit questions via the questions panel. I've created this webinar to be very interactive, so please be generous in your sharing of ideas. I believe as a community of business leaders, we are stronger when we collaborate than when we stand alone. If you haven't downloaded the workbook, we have copied the link in the chat panel for you to download the workbook. Before we get stuck in, I just want to throw in our usual disclaimer that the information in the educational webinar is general in nature and no substitute for tailored advice specific to your particular circumstances. First, I want to put some context around what we mean by the new business as usual. Before COVID-19 and lockdown, we had the old business as usual. Then the crisis unfolded and most countries and many businesses went into lockdown and entered business unusual. Many businesses went into complete hibernation. This was the business continuity phase. Sadly, Victoria are back at this stage. Then there was an easing of some lockdown restrictions and we entered the business recovery phase. At this point, business unusual continues as many people are still restricted in their movements. It is a time for reinventing how we operate our businesses. As restrictions continue to ease, we are not yet out of business unusual. Customers are still wary to travel. They may be reluctant to spend money or may have suffered severely during the lockdown. At some point in the future, maybe 6 to 12 months, we will enter the new business as usual. So we need to plan for this now. In the words of Charles Darwin, we need to be the most adaptable to change so that we survive. We all have unique lessons from lockdown, with many businesses innovating, re-engineering, adapting, and widening their lanes to find viability in strange times. We at Brew Accounting have adapted by running webinars for our clients and delivering meetings online. We've also re-engineered the way we operate to cope with remote working. We've widened our lane by adding new services, such as helping our business clients with business recovery planning, which is like business planning on steroids, to help SMEs recover from the COVID crisis and establish a new business as usual, whatever that may look like. I've certainly seen the amazing Australian entrepreneurial spirit erupt over the COVID season, and I'll share just a few of my favorite examples shortly. While I'm doing this, I would love you all to share in the chat your share in the chat your favorite lesson from lockdown, or an example of business innovation, adaptation, re-engineering, or widening their lane. If you're on this webinar, it is because you are part of my courageous community of caring business people, and I encourage you to share generously, as your words will inspire someone else here. So I'll give you a few examples of some of my favorite lessons that I've seen happening around the COVID season. First, I'll go into innovation. We've seen telehealth spring up in the mental health space to support the Australians suffering with mental health issues. Also, a wonderful website called brave.com, which focuses on building healthy minds. Especially as we navigate the newfound flexibility of the working from home landscape, we have to find new ways to look after our team's mental health. Brave supports organizations to do just that. Then adaptation. I've seen a mentoring business harnessing professional older retirees being at home with a need for human interaction and a willingness to embrace technology, and seeing this as an opportunity for them to mentor new startups and young people. What a win-win for everyone. An example of re-engineering, a very quick thinking Airbnb provider offered their houses to medical personnel who are still choosing to isolate as a precaution to protect their families. An example of widening your lane. So many hospitality industries, businesses such as cafes, pubs, clubs, changed to provide ready cooked meals and home delivery. As well as learning that we need to adapt, innovate, re-engineer, and widen our lanes, we've also had some other interesting lessons. Certainly for me, one of them is that I'm not a school teacher, and there's a reason for that. And other examples that we've identified, that we've learned are when forced upon us, change can happen fast. Another one, working from home is great for some and sucks for others, businesses and team members. Another thing, technology can be your friend if you're agile, or enemy if you're slow to adopt. And this last one here, so crucial, and certainly it's been driven home more than ever this COVID season, that a war chest of cash is not a nice to have, it's a must have. And for those who have that at this point are actually seeing lots of opportunities presenting themselves because they have that war chest of cash.
All right. We heard a lot of lessons, and we have some here in the chat box. And for me, it taught me also to look at things in a different perspective. So thank you, everyone, for sharing your thoughts in the chat.
Yep, awesome. Thank you, Greg, for sharing. Yep, definitely. Software companies switching to set up businesses for remote working. So many cases of that. And definitely, Danielle, you're sharing there that war chest of cash is really allows you to leverage so many opportunities. So we know we need to change and adapt, but is this enough? Think about the things you changed as a result of the lockdown. Were some of these changes things you'd considered previously but never quite got around to? Or did you make some changes and perhaps then reverted to the old way of doing things? Change is not easy, but it is still essential in the current environment. I'll now share 4 mindsets that will help make change easier for you in the future. The first one is called Orbit. In times of crisis, we have 2 choices about how we can respond. We can act below the line or act above the line. Certainly, I think of myself as more of an above the line thinker. However, when I was compiling these slides, I forced myself to find a scenario where I was operating below the line. I know I had hit on it when it made me feel a little uneasy when I thought of the situation. Once I had chosen the situation, and I analyzed how I could change my response to an above the line mindset. In doing this, I have found my satisfaction level in that relationship has really improved. I encourage you to dig deep and find your below the line interaction and critically analyze it now and choose to respond from a place of ownership, accountability, and responsibility. I'll give you a tip. If you cannot find a situation to analyze, look at your most intimate relationships. It's here that we can often make the largest leaps forward. So here goes. You now have your personal below the line situation. So as I share the following example, you can apply the logic to your specific situation. Below the line actions would go something along these lines. Blame someone else for bringing a virus into our country. Make excuses why there's nothing we can do about it. Or go into denial that there's even an issue, and in so doing, put ourselves, our team, and our business at great risk. Or we can act above the line. Take ownership that we can and we must do something to protect ourselves and our businesses, even if that means closing our business. Recognize that we are accountable to our team and our customers at their time of greatest need. Take responsibility for protecting ourselves, our team, our customers, and our business from these difficult times. The fundamental mindset here is that we have a choice, and we must not take on a victim mindset in these times. When energy is focused on solving issues rather than defending positions, everyone wins. The second mindset I'd like to run through with you today is called the 5 A's of change. Now we know that we need to change. The 5 A's of change help us identify the steps we need to take to make those changes. Remember, change is not easy. It's okay to feel apprehensive. The first step is to be aware of what needs to change, why it needs to change, and what will happen if things don't change. The next step is to accept that we must change. It's likely that the COVID-19 crisis has raised your awareness and acceptance that change is necessary. The third step is to take action. Without action, nothing will change and your business will struggle to recover. Documenting what you're going to do in a recovery plan is the first step towards taking action. The fourth step is accountability. Having someone independent holding you to account will ensure you take the required action to change. And finally, it's important to reinforce change by acknowledging and celebrating success, no matter how great or small the success is. One thing, as I prepared these slides, I watched a video that spoke about moving the goalpost. This is something I have definitely been guilty of in the past. As achieving the goal drew closer, I moved the goalpost out to the next further away goal. The research shows that celebrating success brings more satisfaction, so I encourage you to celebrate achieving your goals, no matter how small. The third mindset is the atomic habits mindset, which is based on a book by James Clear. If you haven't read it, you definitely should. In summary, outcome-based habits are less likely to be successful as we're not recognizing the need for changing our identity. The habits will either not stick as we revert to our old identity, or we'll give up those habits once we reach the outcome. Instead of focusing on the outcome, if we focus on who we need to be, our identity or our business identity, and how this needs to change, we form habits consistent with that identity. The outcomes will flow more naturally as we simply live into our identity. An example here could be someone who wants to lose weight. Please note, I'm not talking about myself here. So for 2 months, the person exercises and eats lots of vegetables. They lose the weight, so they get the outcome they desired, and then return to no exercise and eating unhealthily, and the weight returns. This is the result of outcome-based habit thinking. Versus, if we approach this with an identity-based habit, we will see our identity as a healthy human being and naturally adopt eating healthy and enjoying exercise. The weight loss inevitably occurs. This identity-based habit approach is also relevant in a business context. Example, if we decide that our business is going to be more altruistic or environmentally sustainable, and this may open up a new target market. Danielle, I see you've read that book. How excellent. Steve, great to have you here. And you're saying the speed at which many people or businesses have come together to create solutions for problems. Isn't it been amazing? Yep, fantastic. The final mindset I want to share with you guys today is the rubber band model, which comes from the Decision book, 50 Models for Strategic Thinking by Mikhail Krogerus and Roman, I'll let you all pronounce that name, Chaspella. When making a decision between two options, imagine there are two rubber bands around you, one holding you and one pulling you. Both rubber bands are equally important. One represents careful consideration, doing things step by step with great process, and identifying and mitigating risks. The other represents the need for change, progression, and finding better ways to reach your goal. By analyzing what's holding you and what's pulling you, the result will be a carefully considered way forward. The rubber band model is also useful if two business owners have different views on what change looks like. One may be wanting to dot the I's and cross the T's, manage risks and create robust processes. The other might want to move forward to capture new opportunities for innovation, adaptation and re-engineering, but may not have considered all the risks. This model helps bring these divergent and important viewpoints together to find consensus as to the best way forward. So now we know what adaptation is: innovation, re-engineering, reinventing, invention, or widening our lane. And we have four powerful mindsets to help us with change: Orbit, the 5 A's of change, atomic habits, and the rubber band model. What are the fundamentals we need in place to adapt our business? So the first thing is take a team approach. It's highly likely that your team will have many ideas as to how you can improve your business, so make sure you involve them. Then make a plan. During lockdown, it's likely you thought of many ideas for how to adapt. If there's more than one owner of the business, there's a risk that you'll have divergent ideas. Making a plan ensures that you get alignment and clarity on your new business direction. Then budgets. Heck, I'm an accountant. What do you expect? Of course, budgets. A revised personal budget with trimmed costs helps reduce the cash flow strain on your business. A revised business budget will give you more certainty and control. For example, by establishing your minimum viable weekly sales number to survive through the crisis. Then risk analysis, so important, is best practice for all businesses, but even more important now. An inability to pay debts as they fall due or having poor reporting systems are examples of risks your business may be facing. A risk analysis helps you identify strategies to mitigate those risks. Then do some pre-work. Pre-work prior to a planning meeting ensures your meeting is not one of discovery. In other words, you don't waste time catching up on information in the meeting that could have been done at pre-work. We'll talk more about pre-work shortly as it relates to the business recovery plan. Then, independent accountability. Accountability ensures you get things done. We're all super busy, and at times, the important things that aren't urgent, like planning, just don't get done. Independent accountability also gives you the ability to combine your expertise with someone else's so that you come up with an even better plan. The most important aspect of planning is to understand the difference between governance and management. Governance is often referred to as working on the business, whereas management is working in the business. The governance role is accountable to the shareholders and the company, and the directors must set the vision and determine the strategies to get there. The management role is accountable to the board of directors to implement those strategies and achieve the vision. Your business recovery plan is a combination of working on your business and in your business, as you need to get right down into the operational areas of the business to find savings, efficiencies, adaptations, and improvements. So now we look at the 10 departments in every business. I'll remind you that every business has 10 departments, no matter what size. Small business owners just wear more of those hats. So your plan now needs to identify the current risks, opportunities for improvement, new goals and actions you need to take for each, and the new goals you need to take for each of those 10 departments. For example, you may have discovered that customers are slower to pay you now. The risk here is that you may not be able to pay your debts as they fall due. So your finance department's goal might be to reduce your debtors days, the time it takes your customers to pay you on average, by 10 days. And in so doing, free up $15,000 in cash. The actions you need to take might include a review of your terms of trade, better reporting of your debtors, and the contracting of an external credit controller. This is the level of detail you need to get down to for each of the 10 departments. Unlike a business plan, which is more strategic and high level, in times of crisis, you need to be looking at all aspects of your business. So while you'll be working on your business when completing your plan, you need to get it right down into the gunnels to find opportunities for savings or improvements. In other words, leave no stone unturned. So here's an example of what we mean by leaving no stone unturned in relation to the pre-work for your business recovery plan. I'll run you through some examples of pre-work questions we recommend in line with the 10 departments or hats. It's important to consider what hat you're wearing when you answer these questions. What we know is that the more detailed the pre-work, the better the plan will be. There are likely to be many questions you'll not have even thought about before. So here are some stones that you can look under for new products and services that you may develop. What new product or service have you developed during the crisis, and how have customers responded to your innovation? What new products or services are you planning to launch? What break-even analysis have you completed for each? Will you discontinue any existing products or service lines, and why are you going to do that? In what other ways will you pivot the business? For example, adding additional after-sales services or focusing on mobile delivery. So that's for new products and service development. Now, pre-work around marketing might be, you would want to answer some questions like, in what ways have you virtualized the customer experience, and how have you marketed this? How can you improve inbound digital lead generation? Example, website performance, social media strategies, content of value, etc. And then what is your communication and support plan for key customers to maximize retention? Another stone department you want to look under is suppliers and supply chain. So things to consider here: what challenges have you experienced with product or service supply stability? How are you mitigating these risks? What changes have you made to purchasing policy and to prevent overspending on stock or overheads? What contingency plans have you put in place to ensure alternative supply? What critical changes do you need to make to your general terms of trade to minimize losses from customer insolvency? And this is certainly something that really needs to be considered. Do you need to shorten your payment terms, or have more credit checks and limits for, or get some personal guarantees? So let's look at how to pull this all together as a complete plan. Depending on your circumstances, your recovery plan should include your personal budget, your risk register, your business recovery plan, your business forecast, an updated organizational chart if you have a team of people, and if you're applying for finance, a finance application. The outcomes of a completed plan include certainty and alignment about how to adapt your business to survive and thrive. Reduced cash flow strain on your business by reviewing your personal spending. Clarity about things like your minimum viable weekly sales number or the key projects you need to get done in the next 90 days. A complete package to share with your financiers in support of existing or new lending. And peace of mind and the ability to sleep at night knowing you have a plan in place. You may not need to do all of this work at the same time. For example, you may have sufficient cash flow now, so you don't need to apply for finance. Likewise, if you don't have a team, you may not need an updated organizational chart. What is important is that you establish what is right for you, what combination of these you need, and who will do them. So now it's time for you to consider your next steps. Here's a useful model to follow to ensure you get the results you want and need. So here's the results mindset. The D is for decisions. You'll have literally hundreds of ideas in your head about what options you have in all aspects of your business. By documenting these ideas in a plan, you'll make positive decisions about what you will and won't do. Remember that what you can say yes to is defined by what you say no to. Sometimes the plan is more about getting a clear focus on the few things that you need to do that will make the most impact. So your decisions right now could simply be to commit to making a plan. The first A is for actions. The will include the actions you need to take to adapt your business, detailed step-by-step actions that minimize risks and maximize opportunities. Likewise, the action you commit to right now could be to do your business recovery plan yourself and have us review it, or have us involved throughout the process. Second A is for accountability. In order to get results, it's usually not enough to make decisions and agree to actions. If you're anything like me, you need someone to hold you to account to completing those actions. Think back to your old school days. If you didn't have a teacher holding you to account for doing your homework, would you have done it? Or think about your personal trainer. If you didn't commit to the sessions with your trainer, would you go as often? We're here to help make sure you're not only complete the plan, but that you get the results you want. My aim is to help you take what you've learned today and implement some positive change in your business. Doing nothing is not an option. Doing what you have always done is unlikely to give you the same results as you've had in the past. Remember to focus on what you can do as opposed to worrying about what is out of your control. Remember the orbit model we shared. Stay above the line. We are here for you and want to help. Our recommended strategy is to complete a business recovery plan. We've been receiving great feedback about how effective this process is. So if you haven't yet done your business recovery plan, now's the time to do this, as it will form a great foundation from which to build your cash flow improvement strategy. It will also help with loan applications. So the options to complete the plan are: meet with us online so we can do this together, either as one session or up to up to 4 hours, or 2 by 2 hour sessions. We'll send you in-depth pre-work to complete so you have time to consider the impact COVID-19 has had on each department of your business. We'll use your completed pre-work to guide us through the plan and set goals for each department. This ensures you have a detailed and well thought out plan to give your business the best chance of recovery. The second option is to meet with us online for the business recovery planning session. Then we'll work with you to prepare an updated cash flow forecast and finance application. The third option is a complimentary business recovery review. We'll send you a business recovery action list to complete, which is a condensed version of the plan. This option suits those of you who may have a small business that doesn't require a comprehensive business recovery plan. Once you've completed the action plan, we'll schedule a 15-minute call to review your plan and next steps. The risk with this approach is that with everything else going on right now, you may not get around to doing the work. If you're unsure of the best way forward, or you want to talk to us about how we can work together, we recommend a complimentary meeting to discuss your goals, current problems, and challenges. We can then agree the best way we can support you. If you are going to need to obtain business funding, we believe it's vital that you prepare a cash flow forecast. The loan needs to be repaid, so your business needs to generate enough profit to then convert into cash to make the repayments. We know it may be difficult to commit to spending money right now. Part of the planning process will include an assessment as to how you can improve your profitability and cash flow, so there will be a great return on investment from this process over time. For the short term, we have different payment options available, so please don't let cost be a barrier. Get in touch and we can work together to come to an arrangement you can manage. We know that the benefits you'll get from these services will be far greater than our fee. Most importantly, it's about helping you as quickly as possible and ensuring we are working with you to build a stronger, more resilient business. The information in this educational webinar is general in nature and no substitute for specific tailored advice and support. By working with you one-on-one, we'll be able to identify together the most important actions to take that will make the biggest impact on your results. All right, we've covered a lot here, and now I want to open up the webinar for our questions and answers.
All right. Thank you, Joanna, for that very interesting session. And I certainly learned a lot. And for me, change is really inevitable. So it's what we can learn and adapt to these changes. So just to remind everyone, we have a question panel. So you can just key in your questions there, and we'd be more than happy to answer these questions. So I'll give those other people some time to put in their questions. But we have a comment here from the chat box. Hi, Joanna. Great presentation from Greg Knight. Thanks. Can you give an example on how you have been able to help your clients, especially those who have been heavily impacted by COVID?
Yeah, and this is a great question, Greg. Thanks for asking it. To start with, obviously, the stimulus has been coming thick and fast, and certainly it's been needed. So the first thing we did was to really get involved with our clients and their businesses and assess what was the stimulus that they could access and maximize that dollar value for them so that they could continue to operate through such uncertain times with regard to their cash flow being so tight. Many of those businesses, the income just dried up overnight and they still had huge overheads and large payrolls. But I think once we were able to do our cash flow analysis, our cash flow forecast and analyze that, yeah, we would be able to survive, it then became a question of, okay, well, what opportunities are there for some of our businesses? And so we worked with lots of clients with this plan coming up, something so simple as they've been running a courtesy bus and it hasn't been profitable for years. And here was an opportunity for them to actually say, okay, well, it's time for us to get rid of that courtesy bus, But what it's really helped them to do is to look at what revenue streams they were currently, what target markets they were currently servicing and see, are there similarities between products that we're offering right now that we can broaden our product, we can broaden our target market and offer those services to that target market. Certainly many of our clients have done that, but also with regard to adopting technology so that they can operate more efficiently and hold their teams more accountable has produced some great results for some of our clients. So lots of different things that have been happening and lots more still happening with different clients as we journey with them.
Excellent, excellent. And just a reminder, this webinar is for you, and we want to make it as interactive as possible. So if you do have any relevant question, just key in the question panel or in the chat box. And we do have a few questions that was submitted beforehand. First question is, Joanna, how do I get access to your complimentary business recovery action list?
Yep, good one. So by answering the exit survey, there's an opportunity to select that you want us to provide this template to you. It's a really great tool to get you started on the journey of developing your business recovery plan. So, and it's complimentary. So I highly recommend it and encourage you to request and use it.
All right, I'll put in the exit in the chat box so you can just access that link. So you will be directed to the survey. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on how we can better be of service to you by using this survey. And we do have another one question. Remember, if you have to go, you need to complete the webinar feedback on exit. And I just put in the link for the exit survey in the chat panel. And we really value your feedback so we can continue to provide the topics and content that is of value to you. And now we proceed to the next question. We are interested in completing a business recovery plan. Are you aware of any government funding available which will help pay for this service?
Good. Yep, there definitely is. There's currently a small business recovery grant of up to $3,000 being offered by Service New South Wales for certain affected businesses. And this grant closes on the 16th of August. So talk to us if you think you're eligible and we can help you arrange the application.
Yes, excellent. And we'll leave the floor if there's still any other questions.
That's great. So thank you
If
very
not,
much for...
Yep,
Last
we'll proceed
opportunity to
forward.
ask your questions, guys. Here we are. Okay, thank you very much. So I just wanted to say before we go, I wanted to share this quote with you. Make a simple plan today, commit to at least 3 actions you will take as a result of today's webinar. Write them down, give each of them an owner and a completion date. Remember, if you need our support, we are here for you. Thanks everyone for attending and
All right.
participating in the webinar. And we appreciate that your time is so very valuable. Please do complete the brief exit survey so we can continuously improve and get your feedback on what other webinar topics you would like to see from us. We hope we've given you plenty of ideas to ponder and some clear next steps for you and your business. Thanks for completing the exit survey on leaving the webinar.